Hello. I'm gonna try and do this as quickly as possible so that it's short, but also, give a good explanation of all the features. So this is a work schedule I made. This is the year-to-date table, breaking down all the employee year-to-date information and then quarterly information. But, we could change this from employee to clients, or if we're looking at tasks or events, kind of whatever. We could add additional features down below. But anyway, so this selection here is going to change the data for both tables. So right now we're looking at total hours. I can look at standard shift hours. I can look at overtime hours, overtime pay, and total pay. And then this section here for this lower chart is for the quarters. So right now we're looking at quarter one, and it's the same thing as above. However, in this case, the table to the left there is also going to update with our selection so that we can compare. So that's the basic gist of this tab. All this data is feeding off of the employee history tab, and that employee history is feeding off of this schedule tab, which is obviously the main portion of this workbook. So just as an example, right now, we can pick any day, so maybe Thursday, or well, I'll keep it over here so that we can see our table. So we can add anything in here. So we're going to pick employee 3. We can pick however many hours, so it doesn't matter. 11 p.m., really long shift. But then, so now we can see everything updated. They're going to be 15 hours over in overtime now. So, and then if we wanted to put in a lunch or a break, doesn't matter. We could say, 30 minutes, and we can see that 30 minutes removes from the total hours. But we could say, 1 hour, and then same thing, we can see that removes it from the time there. So that's the gist. It goes Sunday through Saturday. Obviously, we can change that if it was only a Monday through Friday business, and it goes all the way to the end of the year. So you don't have to worry about inserting new columns or not having your historical data or anything like that. It would go through the end of the year. So this section here is just a little data table that's calculating the week. So we can see it, by employee in this case. So this total hours section is going to be based off of once we get to 35 hours. So I think I set it for 35 hours to 37 hours, or something like that. It'll turn yellow. And then once we get to the 40-hour mark, or somewhere in that range, it'll turn red. That way we're signifying that we're getting close to overtime. So if we don't want to pay overtime, then we can be aware of how our schedule is going for each week, right? And then same thing here in this overtime section. That only starts once we get to over 40 hours. So 41 hours, or I guess 40 hours and 1 minute. Once we get to that point, that's when overtime would start calculating, and the overtime pay would obviously be based off of the company's, metrics of what they pay for overtime or holiday, something like that, right? So that's the basic gist. The last, kind of small feature that is added in here is we have 3 extra cells here. If we wanted to add an employee at some point in the year, maybe we pick them up in June or something, well, then we can come over to the imports or inputs sheet here. We can say we're going to add employee 6, and go to 2024. So when we switch this to 2024, our whole calendar updates. And then same thing here. Now we can see that January 1st is here, and that calculates automatically all the way through. So our whole year has now been changed for 2024. So then the last thing we would want to do, again, after we've saved our copy and changed the year, is then we can come down here to the end of the year. I put a reset page button basically. So once we hit the button, it's going to reset the data in this sheet. So we've changed the year, we've saved our copy, we've done everything. So we have our historical data. Now we're ready to reset so we can start the whole new year. I'll hit the button and we can see everything is getting cleared. And then we're back to the top of the screen, and now we're fresh to start for the new year. So that's just a basic rundown of this sheet, or I should say workbook. Thank you for your time, and have a nice day.